everyone, this is Greyshot17.
And Greyshot151 here.
And today we're doing a review on Greyhound. With everything currently going on, the movie reviews have been pretty much left on hiatus, except for when a war movie comes out. And this one had probably one of the best trailers of the year, and I was super pumped to see it, and then, well, everything closed down. So now it's on Apple Plus. And
yeah, the one place you wouldn't think the demographic of this movie being, what, 50, 60, 70-year-olds, people that really love war, having to download a streaming service. I'm sure there were many calls to grandkids being like, how do you set up the Apple Plus?
Well, it wasn't just them. I mean, like, quick backstory. We had trouble even watching it. Like, we tried to put we have like 4 devices hooked up downstairs that can play movies. None of them could play it. So we're like,
yeah.
Apple Plus is very limited, in at least for us, in terms of playability for our screens. And I didn't just want to watch it on my normal monitor, so we ended up going to a friend's house, watched it there. And what are our thoughts on this movie? Starring Tom Hanks, and I believe he took part not only writing it, but like the director of it is Aaron Schneider, and he hasn't done much. I'm gonna assume that this might have been a passion project for Tom Hanks, and it was definitely more involved in the behind the scenes making of this movie than the credits may lay on.
I'm surprised by that. I don't think it's a movie that really does all that well for him in some respects, mainly because, like, for this movie, he doesn't really have like that much of a personality.
This movie, by the way,
it's Tom Hanks. Like,
yeah.
There's some roles where he like Sully, where he just breaks out and he's like, didn't recognize him. Whereas this one, I very much was always just like, yeah, it's Tom Hanks. Like, he never really like broke out. Everyone else, though, I didn't recognize that many faces, or any faces of that. Yeah. So they sung into their roles just fine. It's really just Tom Hanks. He is the main line in this movie.
Yeah, and he is the captain of a ship, the Greyhound, and his objective is to combine with a couple other ships, both American and British in nature, protect a convoy of over 40 ships.
And Canadian.
Oh, Canadian. So he protects the ships going over, and while they're being hunted by a wolf pack. This is based on a book called The Good Shepherd.
Yep.
And I can't speak of the historical accuracy of this movie, as it takes place in over the course of a few days between air cover of the U.S. to air cover of, I believe it's the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The one thing I will note is...
Well, it's not France.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really much else in Europe that's secure at that point. But yeah, no, it's going from the U.S. to the U.K., basically like following procedure. This is a very technical movie. Like, you really want to see like, step-by-step process, like what these people would do, their roles and stuff. This is like your movie. And it's just a lot of good. It's very tense, like through and through. Like, people die, yes. And I'd say you care for like one character, but like
that's the problem.
You understand their roles, you understand their spots, but they're really just that guy. It's like you're the guy that relays information, and you're the guy that's like the co-captain, like stuff like that.
Nobody goes through an arc, but I think Tom Hanks is the closest thing we get to someone being tested, like pushed to their absolute limit, and that's unfortunately we're kept at a distance from him for most of it. And I wanted to know more about him, more of his character, because you get a quick flashback to right before he set out, and
basically coming back to his like soon-to-be wife.
Yes,
which is cool, and the idea like he's being tested for the first time this is his first voyage is also cool, but they really don't do much with it except they make note of his like inexperience. Like, let's call back a few times, but
yeah. I think it would have been interesting to have that more of a dynamic, not necessarily the crew rises up against him, but have more of him internally dealing with it, but we don't get that as much. It's still like interesting.
You get like one scene of him like double checking his own thoughts, but that's really it.
Yeah,
it's just very fast movie. It's only an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think this movie would have benefited because unlike something like Fury or Hacksaw Ridge, where you kind of really get to know the characters, this
one not so much.
No, it's not. But what I will say,
the boat's really the biggest character, the Greyhound. Like, you understand like that boat like right after this.
They do a good job of kind of this is what we have, and this is how we use all these instruments to use what we have at our disposal. I will say as well, based on the U-boat action, it was great. I like how they set up. There were multiple different battles. It never got boring. It was always interesting in how they would kind of go through it.
You can also tell the U-boats apart. They all had their different insignias and stuff, which was helpful in regards to like telling apart the action and stuff.
But you would get stuff like they would, for example, someone kills a U-boat at some point in this movie. if you haven't seen the trailer. And they do a little notification of that. I was waiting for that to become a recurring thing or doing something like that. Or the crew kind of feeling the strain of going through night and day of constant vigilance. There's a couple great shots in this movie where literally the camera like goes over this entire vast sea and you see everything going on. Ships exploding, gunfire going at it. Also, I like the friendly fire aspect of them like, just shoot the U-boat while it bounces across the water.
Yeah, because they do break their own rules a few times. Because like a hard shell hitting the water isn't going to like. I think MythBusters did this very well in showcasing. Like, yeah, when you shoot a bullet at the water, you got a few feet and that's it. I can't imagine. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna say that
I didn't believe the fact that the shells were going so cleanly through the water. I was like, yeah, there would be some.
But remember that U-boat was like 10 feet under the water. It wasn't that far. And also, there's a big difference between a small bullet and a big freaking shell. Like,
touche. I maybe it's me. I would have.
I will say, I did a little research to find out, like, okay, is this even is this even reasonable for them to do what they did over the course of a few days? And yeah, they do stretch it, but it's not entirely unbasis. Apparently, a first convoy from a British officer, he got 5 U-boat kills when his first run. So I kind of see, but it wasn't an American officer, but it was a British naval.
It was Brits doing this.
Yeah, but still, it's like, okay, so they did get a number of U-boat kills over this course of it. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. What I did what I do like about this movie is nothing felt out of like, oh, the U-boat's suddenly flying, or it's like a Michael Bay film and it's just like doing something that's like, everything felt like very technical or very just like, okay, we have to do this to do this. We can't do this because of this. We can't shoot him because he's too close.
The other thing, if there is one thing I kind of do wish, is I do wish that there is a moment where the German U-boat like signals the Greyhound and it's like taunting it, like they're taunting all the ships. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if that's like realistic, but I almost kind of wish you would have. Because you really only see the Greyhound. You don't even really see any other ships. You don't even see like the people that they picked up or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
I kind of want to wish that you could have seen like more shots. Maybe it's just because of budget that they didn't. That they kept it.
I think the budget was $50 million on this movie. They did here's the one thing I'll give it. I think this had less of a budget than a movie similar to Midway, but the effects in this were way more. Yeah, no, they put their money where they want. They put the money where they wanted, and it really did pay off in a lot of scenes. Yeah.
I would say in regards to overall for this movie, I think it's a good time. It's kind of it's a bit shallow when it comes to characters. But overall, it's still a good time. Like I would not say like, oh yeah.
So what's your score on it? What would you give it?
I'd give it 7. Like it's a good time, but there's no depth.
Oh, wow, you gave it a 7.
Yeah, I mean it's tense and stuff. There's a lot of good sequences, but this is very much a movie I'm never going to think of again. Like there's not like a moment or like something I'm going to come back to listen to. I think the score was good. I think that had some good, but it's also like a big movie blockbuster kind of score-ish.
Yeah. I will say for me,
I think that's the lasting impression because everything else was just kind of like I again, there wasn't anything like remarkable about Tom Hanks in regards to his performance, or the action was solid, but it wasn't like there wasn't like that scene where it's like I don't know, the Dunkirk in regards to like Dunkirk, the air fight scene. You know what I mean? Like something that really stuck out. Like
man, I remember you watching Dunkirk and you did not care.
In the Godzilla King of the Monsters, the Rodan sequence, like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, there wasn't a scene that maybe I would want to go back and look at again.
Yeah. I will say, I find that funny because I remember watching Dunkirk and loving it, and you're like, it's fine. And you're like, there's nothing memorable in that.
Mine is the air portion. The guy portion when they're on the beach is like, but like the ship portion and the plane portion were good in that movie.
So,
but yeah, no, this is kind of like again, I'd go with this like good time. If you like war movies, you're gonna have a blast. I would not put this in my top 10, but no, really good. Good fun time in the summer. I mean, we're fighting a pandemic right now. Let's look to another war and remember how we kicked some evil German butt.
Yeah, so what I would do is the score I thought was serviceable to great. There's one specific track I really did enjoy because it makes you unnerved. They did a good atmosphere. I liked kind of the overall awareness. It never felt you were on like a green screen or something, whereas like they did a lot of great camera angles, a lot of great shots with other ships, and not just that, but also the danger, not just because of what's underwater, but also everything else going on. There's so much stuff going on with all these other ships that you have to take that into account, plus your own crew and everything on those lines. I like that aspect. The biggest detriment to this movie for me is the crew. It's not the crew are bad, it's just they're bland, and Tom Hanks, even with his persona, can't lift that character up to something that Sully or even his character in Saving Private Ryan hasn't done better. I think another 15 minutes of fleshing out the characters would have been way better for this. I know people are so happy it's 90 minutes. That's fine. I think a more character would have elevated this to a level of like Fury or something along those lines, where it's like, I adore that movie, or Hacksaw Ridge. Oh, maybe not Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge is way more character focused.
Hacksaw Ridge is, compared to Fury, I'd say Hacksaw Ridge is better.
Yeah, but Fury. Like Fury has some great action sequences along with that. Hacksaw Ridge is kind of all in the last third or half. That really.
I will say I enjoyed. I think Hacksaw Ridge I enjoyed far more. Yeah. You don't know in regards to the Mel Gibson believability. We can go on that topic. But regardless,
a simple thing you could have done would be the wife. I would like to know more about him and his wife. That simple little dynamic.
Or the cook, watching him actually die. The whole movie's on Tom Hanks. The whole movie, like every shot is with Tom Hanks.
But then you feel like there's not enough. That's my big. I want more Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's a strange combo.
Yeah, it's you see him a lot, you get a lot of aspect, but you don't it's hard to get a grip of what he's going through. And then, again, some people like that, some people won't, but that's my thought.
Okay. No, makes sense.
But if I had to give it a score, I would also probably give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed this movie still. I would recommend it if you're interested. The naval combat was still great, and I like a lot of the shots and stuff like that. They really did a lot of good work with this. And again, if this leads to more naval war films, I'm for it.
Taffy 3. I want to see a movie on Taffy 3.
Taffy 3, yep.
Taffy 3 is the movie that I would pay twice the ticket price if they made a good movie on Taffy 3. Not just because it's like, oh, why would you want to? The Americans, like, the Destroyer, Taffy 3 was like Destroyer, wasn't it? It's like, yeah, but it charged the battleship Yamato and made it turn tail and run. I want to see that on a big screen.
Technically, if you want
David versus Goliath.
Just make a free account on Apple Plus and just 7 days, and you don't have to pay for anything. So there you go. That's our recommendation if you can play it on something.
Just turn it off, and then because like Apple Plus, like who.
I looked on there. There's like, was it Mimosa with the TV show C, and you have like Chris Evans in that murder mystery show, and then it's like, I looked at everything else. I'm like, you have the morning show apparently, but like I've not nothing on the scale.
Nothing
like
else
Stranger.
that sparks some interest. Yeah.
Nothing on the scale of Stranger Things has been like, you have to see this or something like that, because every single thing has that. Even Tiger King.
This when it came out in theaters, Apple just picked it up. It wasn't like an Apple exclusive or something. It was just
Apple's like, we'll give you all the money, just let us.
We'll give you money to put it on our system. It was regardless. Going outside the topic, we recommend Greyhound. Watch it on Apple Plus. Create a free account. Go watch it. But yeah, you'll definitely enjoy it.
All right, but in any case, that's gonna be it. I don't think there's any usually we'll be doing these now just for any war movie or something comes out. I don't think there was any World War II movies coming out the rest of the year, but if something pops up, we'll take a look, and if we miss something, let us know. But this has been Greyshot17
and Greyshot151,
and we'll see all of you next time. Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17, and before I go, I want to give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Milam, Joey G240, Anton, Bishara, Ion, PyroShark, Ace, and Jakub Ocwieja. Seriously guys, thank you so much for your amazing support, especially over the past month. Been through a lot of personal hurdles, but you guys make it a little easier knowing that you guys support me. And same thing with the patrons down below. But this has been Greyshot17 and his amazing patrons, and I'll see all of you next time.